Hello and welcome to a new video here on my channel here at commaik. Today I will continue building my garden kitchen. In the last video I showed you how I aligned the base for my garden kitchen and set it in concrete with mortar. Today I'll be building the rest of the wall. The wall will be raised to just over 2 meters high. I'll also be trying out various other tools today. If you want to see how I make progress and how I do everything, stay tuned. It's about to start. The base of my new garden kitchen has now been standing for a good week. I aligned the aerated concrete blocks with mortar. The blocks are level in every direction, both with each other and across the entire surface. However, starting from the second block, I won't be using mortar anymore, but rather the thin bed method. This means the adhesive is applied in a very thin layer to the blocks, and the next row of blocks is simply placed on top. The advantage is that it's incredibly fast and at the same time very stable. To further increase stability, the blocks are also staggered. This means that the block from the first row, which ends flush here, will now extend out to here in the second row. In other words, there's an offset here, which stabilizes this corner. An additional masonry tape that I insert here should further stabilize the whole thing. The next block here will then run to about this point. This block will be topped with a second block, which will also run right up to the edge here. And this particular section over here will either make up a complete and entire block with a relatively small piece, or just less than a full and complete block. In any given case, you should absolutely make sure that the offset, that is to say, the crucial joint of the very next block, should be at the very least 0.4 times the total height of the block. This is a critical design consideration. My blocks are 25 centimeters high, so 25 centimeters times 0.4 means an offset of at least 10 centimeters. To make things more predictable and efficient here on the construction site, I will now first place all the blocks of the second row from my niche into the wall. That means I will apply the adhesive here, set the block in place, then apply adhesive to the next spot and set the block up to the edge. And afterwards I can measure exactly how big the blocks need to be that go in the middle here. I will saw these blocks to size, then also apply adhesive to the sides and then set the blocks in place on the base. To cut them, I will again use various tools. Last time I relied on my tried and true aerated concrete saw. This saw works wonderfully, but if you need to work quickly and save energy, it's only the second best tool for the job. This time I will rely on electric assistance. Here I have a saw, an electric saw with a special saw blade. I haven't tested it yet, but I will do that today. Let's see if I can cut the blocks faster and with less effort using this saw blade. For the mortar, or rather the adhesive, I am using the original adhesive that comes with the system from Ytong, or more precisely, from the manufacturer Zeller. To apply it, I will try using this trowel. For my other outdoor kitchen, I used a regular notched trowel. That worked quite well, but there is also a special system for this, and I will try that out today as well. The adhesive mix comes in a 15 kilogram bag and, according to the instructions, requires 4 liters of water. The whole thing is stirred slowly with a mixer. The mixture needs to have a nice creamy consistency, and after about 5 minutes of resting, it should be stirred a second time. Once Grandpa has mixed the adhesive thoroughly, it can be applied. First, the stone is removed and the adhesive is spread over the surface. Ideally, of course, the whole area should be swept beforehand. It's important that the adhesive is applied over the entire surface, meaning there should be no open spots without glue. To further increase stability, the masonry anchors are simply placed into the adhesive, and then the stone is positioned. Since the stone is absolutely straight and level on the bottom from the base, the same must be achieved at the top here. That means we now make sure that the stones are flush. Here on the side, if necessary, I can still scrape off with my scraper, and that's it. By now, I'm making pretty good progress with the thin bed method, or at least I think so. It's still a huge mess. As you can see, more of the adhesive ends up on the floor than between the Y-tongue blocks. Somehow I just can't get the hang of this trowel. I actually prefer the old notch trowel a bit more. Unfortunately, the joints of the blocks are not exactly aligned, because the first row and the third row should be absolutely identical to the bearing edge here. Unfortunately, that's not the case, because this row of blocks is just a little bit longer. I suspect it's because there is actually more mortar or adhesive in some of the joints or connectors than in the first row. For this reason, I had to saw this block, for example, so that everything would still fit together and not get out of alignment. On the other side as well, this block is slightly out of alignment. As you can see here, I have an overhang of a good ½ centimeter. I could install the block that is now being placed crosswise here by simply rasping off a bit again and just using my rasp for this, or I could go back to using my electric saw. I've now finished building up the 4th row and have already started on the 5th row, this one here. I'm still quite satisfied with the results so far. I still have to glue 2 blocks here. The interesting thing about this is that I'm trying to avoid waste as much as possible, and I'm waiting to see if I'll have a block left over. While I continue to build up the back wall for the work area, the bar will be going on the other side. I can't build anything else up there. Instead, I have to build the overhang here, because the bar is supposed to be set out a bit so you can lean on it comfortably. You can also see back here that I have something special planned. A window is going to be installed here. I've already laid out the lintel, and if you want to know how I do it, what the bar will look like later, and how I manage the window, then subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any of the upcoming videos in this project series. Of course, I would be absolutely thrilled if you left me a comment under the video and gave it a like if you enjoyed it. Otherwise, a few more pictures below, and then see you next time. Bye!